The new place is weirdly quiet. I moved in last week, and I'm still getting used to the silence. It's a big, empty house, and the echoes play tricks on you. That's why I set up the security cameras, just for peace of mind. You know, they connect straight to my phone. Last night, around midnight, I was just about to head to bed when my phone buzzed. Motion detected. Living room. My heart did that little jump it does. Probably just a moth, I told myself. I opened the app and the live feed loaded. Nothing. The living room was empty, bathed in the pale glow of the streetlights outside. I scanned every corner. No movement. Weird. I checked the notification again. Motion detected at 2:06 a.m. I glanced at the clock on my phone. 12:03 a.m. That's impossible. The notification was from the future. My first thought was a glitch, a bug in the system. Has to be. I tried to dismiss it, but my curiosity got the better of me. I tapped on the recorded clip. The timestamp read 2:06 a.m. The video started to play. It was my living room, just as it was now, but the quality was strange, grainy, with static flickering at the edges. The room was empty. For about 10 seconds, nothing happened. Just the low hum of the refrigerator from the kitchen. Then, I saw it. A figure walked into the frame from the hallway. My blood ran cold. It was me, exactly me. Same pajamas, same messy hair. But there was something off. The way he moved, it was slow, deliberate, almost like he was in a trance. He walked to the center of the room and just stood there, staring directly at the camera. His face was blank, emotionless. The video kept playing. Future me just stood there, not moving a muscle. The silence was deafening. I could hear my own breathing, fast and shallow. I felt like I was watching a ghost. Then he tilted his head, a slow, unnatural movement, and he smiled. It wasn't my smile. It was wide, stretched, and utterly terrifying. The video ended. I sat there, phone in my hand, my mind racing. What did I just see? Was I going crazy? Sleep deprivation. It had to be a prank, a deepfake, someone hacking my cameras. That had to be it. I tried to rationalize it, but the image of that smile was burned into my mind. I got up and walked to the living room. Everything was normal. The sofa, the coffee table, the dim light from the window. No one was there. I checked the camera itself, a small white dome on the bookshelf. It was working fine. I went back to my room, trying to shake the feeling of dread. I decided to stay awake. I had to see what would happen at 2:06 a.m. I sat on my bed, watching the live feed on my phone. The minutes crawled by. 1 a.m., 1:30 a.m. The house was silent. Too silent. Too silent. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of leaves outside, sent a jolt of panic through me. I kept my eyes glued to the screen, watching the empty living room. The image on the phone seemed to shimmer sometimes, the colors momentarily distorting. It felt like the very fabric of the room was unstable. 1:55 a.m., my heart was pounding in my chest. I felt a strange sense of inevitability, like I was a character in a story that had already been written. 2 a.m. to 6. The longest hour of my life wasn't 60 minutes. It was the 58 minutes between 1:08 a.m. and 2:06. The air in my apartment turned thick, heavy, like I was trying to breathe underwater. Every tick of the clock on the wall was a hammer blow against my sanity. My heart hammered a frantic, irregular rhythm against my ribs, a trapped bird desperate for escape. I remember pacing, my bare feet cold against the hardwood, tracing the same path over and over until I thought I'd wear a groove into the floor. The silence was the worst part. A deep, predatory silence that amplified every tiny sound. The hum of the refrigerator, the creak of the building settling, the whisper of my own ragged breaths. I tried to rationalize a glitch, a prank, a sophisticated deepfake. My mind scrambled for a logical explanation, anything to anchor myself back to reality. But the footage was too real. The way I moved, the familiar slump of my shoulders, the way I nervously ran a hand through my hair. It was me. And the fear that came with that certainty was a cold, physical thing, seeping into my bones. I felt a tremor start in my hands, a fine, uncontrollable shaking that spread up my arms. A cold sweat slicked my skin. I kept glancing at the door, then back at my phone, then at the digital clock on the oven. Each minute that crawled by felt like an eternity stretching out, pulling me closer to an event I couldn't comprehend but knew was coming. 1:47 a.m. I was sitting on the floor now, my back pressed against the wall opposite the front door, as if the extra distance could somehow protect me. My phone was clutched in my hand, the screen dark. I couldn't bring myself to watch the notification again, but I couldn't delete it either. It was evidence. Evidence of what I didn't know. Madness, a tear in the fabric of time. I thought about calling the police. What would I even say? Hello. I think I'm going to break into my own apartment in about 20 minutes. They'd think I was crazy. Maybe I was. My gaze drifted around my own living room. The familiar posters on the wall, the stack of books on the coffee table, the half-empty mug from this morning, it all started to look strange, alien, like a movie set. A liminal space that was almost my home, but not quite. The colors seemed drained, the shadows deeper and more menacing than they should be. My breathing was shallow, coming in quick, sharp gasps. My mouth was bone dry. I felt a wave of nausea roll through me. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to picture something else, anything else. A beach, a sunny day, but all I could see was the grainy night vision footage from my own security camera. The glitchy static that flickered across the screen. The dead, empty eyes of the man who looked just like me. I thought about my family, my friends. Would I ever see them again? What was on the other side of 2:06 a.m.? Was this how it ended? Trapped in a loop, a paradox I couldn't escape. The thought was a fresh spike of terror, more potent than anything I'd felt before. This wasn't just a home invasion, this was an existential nightmare. 2:03 a.m., the air crackled with anticipation. Every nerve in my body was screaming. I was a coiled spring wound, so tight I thought I would snap. I scrambled to my feet, my legs unsteady. I had to do something. Run. Hide. There was nowhere to go. My own apartment had become a cage. I felt a sudden, bizarre urge to laugh. The sheer absurdity of it all. Waiting for yourself to arrive. Waiting for a future you've already seen to crash into your present. I flattened myself against the wall next to the door, my heart feeling like it was going to explode out of my chest. I held my breath, listening. The silence was absolute now. Complete. As if the entire world was holding its breath with me. 2:05 a.m., 60 seconds left. The final countdown. The clock on the microwave glared at me, its red digits burning into my vision. 50 seconds. 40. My eyes darted around the room, frantically searching for a weapon, a lamp, a book, anything. 30 seconds. I could hear the blood rushing in my ears, a deafening roar that drowned out everything else. 20. My palms were so sweaty I could barely keep a grip on my phone. 10. 9, 8. I stared at the door, at the small brass peephole, a dark, unblinking eye staring back at me. 7, 6, 5. I braced myself. 4, 3, 2, 1. The clock ticked over. 2:06 a.m., and for a moment nothing happened. The silence held, a flicker of hope. Maybe it was all a delusion, maybe I had finally, completely lost my mind. And then I heard it. The sound wasn't a knock. It was a soft, deliberate rapping. 3 distinct taps on the wood of my front door. It was exactly like the video. The sound echoed the one from my phone so perfectly it sent a jolt of ice through my veins. This was it. It was real. It was happening. For a long moment, I was paralyzed, pinned to the wall by sheer terror. My mind was a blank slate of white noise. The knocking came again. 3 more taps, patient, insistent. Slowly, as if moving through water, I pushed myself away from the wall. My movements were robotic, disconnected from my conscious thought. It was like watching someone else, a character in a horror movie, making all the wrong moves. Don't open the door, my brain screamed, but my body wouldn't listen. I had to see, I had to know. My hand trembled as I reached for the peephole cover. My thumb slid the little metal plate aside. I leaned forward, my breath catching in my throat, and pressed my eye to the lens. The fisheye view of the hallway was distorted, warped. The yellow flickering light of the corridor bulb gave everything a sickly, jaundiced look. And standing there, directly in front of my door, was him, me. He was wearing the same grey hoodie, the same dark jeans. His hair was messy, just like mine, but it wasn't a mirror image. This version of me looked wrong. His posture was stiff, unnatural, and his face, oh God, his face. It was slack, devoid of any emotion. His eyes were wide, staring directly forward, but they were empty, lifeless, like the eyes of a doll. He wasn't looking at the door. He was looking right at the peephole. He was looking at me. Time seemed to stop. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. I was just staring into my own dead eyes. Then, he smiled. It wasn't a real smile. It was a grotesque imitation, a stretching of the lips that didn't reach his eyes, a cold, predatory grin that promised nothing but pain. As his smile widened, the hallway light behind him began to flicker violently. The image in the peephole glitched, stuttering like a corrupted video file. Just like in the notification, static filled my vision, and for a split second, his face distorted into a nightmarish visage, his mouth open in a silent scream. I stumbled back from the door, a strangled cry escaping my lips. My back hit the opposite wall hard, the impact knocking the air from my lungs. I slid down to the floor, gasping. I looked at my phone, still clutched in my hand. The screen was black. I frantically pressed the power button. Nothing. It was dead. Then, a new sound from the hallway, a quiet, metallic scratching. It was the sound of a key sliding into a lock. My lock. I scrambled in my pockets, my heart seizing with a new, final wave of terror. My keys were gone. The lock clicked. The deadbolt slid open with a heavy, final thud. The doorknob began to turn. The door creaked open, revealing the figure standing in the threshold, silhouetted against the flickering, glitching light of the hallway. He stepped inside, his movements jerky and unnatural. He closed the door behind him, plunging the room into near darkness, the only light coming from the street lamps outside my window. He stood there for a moment, his head tilted at an impossible angle. Then, he spoke, and his voice was a broken, distorted recording of my own. "It's time to make the video," he rasped. A sound like grinding static. He held up his hand. In it, he was holding my phone. The screen flickered to life. It was on the camera app, recording. The red dot blinked ominously in the dark. A notification popped up on the screen he was holding. It was from my security camera. It was time-stamped for tomorrow. At 2:06 a.m. my blood ran cold as I finally understood. This isn't the end of the loop, it's the beginning. And I'm the one who has to make sure it happens. Thanks for watching. If this story chilled you to the bone, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the dark. And remember to check your notifications. You never know who might be watching.